What's going on, guys? In this video we're going to be discussing 5 very specific fragrances, and the premise of this video concept is timeless scent profiles and my personal opinion and take on these 5 and why I believe they will become, if they have not already in many ways, become timeless scent profiles, because these are the types of scents that can define a generation. Some have already defined past generations, and some are still in the process of doing so. So, like I said, I have 5 very specific fragrances for this video topic. I want to talk about it with you guys. Stay tuned. Starting with a fragrance that has become synonymous with evenings, date night, kind of a gateway fragrance, if you will, into evening appropriate scent profiles. We're talking about Dolce Gabbana The One. This is the original eau de toilette. It has spawned countless flankers ever since the arrival of this particular scent profile. Sweet, ambery tobacco, beautiful, alluring, attractive, definitely suits the younger demographic, but definitely works for all ages, honestly, because even when you're in your early 20s, this is a scent profile that you'll build a fondness for as you progress, as you age in your 30s and 40s and so on. So it's kind of a, like I said, gateway fragrance into evening appropriate scents, because this is so highly recommended on and off social media for many years as a great fragrance for, you know, what's great for a first date, for example. Fragrances like this will do the trick. The eau de parfum is a much more robust take on this scent profile, while enhancing the performance and longevity, the projection, a little bit more than what the eau de toilette has to offer. And then you have multiple flankers. There's a fresher version called Dolce Gabbana The One Gray. There's the one Gentleman Sport. There's the limited Middle Eastern flankers, Luminous Night, Royal Night, Mysterious Night. There's the one EDP Intense, I believe it's Intense, yeah, the black bottle. There's so many versions of this scent at this point, but I really feel like the eau de toilette and the eau de parfum, because they're so closely related in scent profile, have kind of defined that early 2000s to now when it comes to entry-level date night, evening wear, safe play type of fragrances to go on a date, because it's one of those fragrances that the reason they sell so many bottles and because it has so much success is because ladies like how this smells on a guy. That's just cut and dry the bottom line of why it's become popular. And I don't deem it played out. I don't think it'll ever be played out. That's why I feel like it's a perfect candidate for this video topic, because to me personally, this is an all-time great. I want to say, I didn't check beforehand, but somewhere in the realm of 2008, I want to say, is when this came out. Again, probably not spot on with that date, but it's somewhere in the 2000s that this came out, maybe even the 2010s, and it's just so iconic at this stage because it's been around for so many years that I think it's defined the previous generation and is still in the process in defining the current generation because of the wonderful flankers that have come since. So definitely one worth checking out. If for some reason or another you've never smelled this fragrance, I think personally you're probably missing out, because it's an experience worth having, and who knows, you may love it and have to get a bottle. I would recommend the eau de parfum over the eau de toilette, but in my opinion, definitely a timeless scent profile defining a generation currently. It's Dolce Gabbana The One. Next, this kind of falls into the evening wear category like the previous fragrance, but in the cooler months, I think this is a great daytime scent as well. That's kind of what I mainly wear it for. And if you're into spicy fragrances, this is one of those designer gateway fragrances into the spicier side of what's out there for men. We're talking about Viktor and Rolf Spicebomb. I believe this is definitely a timeless scent profile that will age gracefully more and more as time goes on. This has spawned phenomenal flankers in its line, with plenty of room still to grow, because it's not over flankered in my opinion. There's not too much redundancy to the original with the other flankers, but it still ties directly into what this original DNA is all about. I love this fragrance. I've rekindled my passion and my love for this scent profile this particular year at the recording of this, because for the longest time I've really been enjoying a lot of the flankers. But honestly, I think the best one will always have to be the original, because it's the introductory into the line, and it's one of the best spicy fragrances ever made. Performance is not quite as strong as it used to be many years ago. I want to say this one came out around 2010, 2012 range, but it still performs pretty well on my skin. It's still every bit of a 7 to 8 hour fragrance on my skin, and it's pretty loud in the first 2 hours. So performance still isn't kind of a slouch in any way, and it's so attractive. It's so alluring. It'll really pull people in. Daytime, nighttime, doesn't matter, as long as it's cooler weather. And even in the high heat, I think you can pull this off being moderate, to mild with the sprays, maybe being in climate controlled environments more than you'll be outside. It depends on your area and the climate you're in. If it's high humidity, maybe not the best choice, but this can damn near be a signature scent for somebody, especially if you're into spicy fragrances. I think this is defining the spicy fragrance genre. Now, spicy fragrances is nothing new. This didn't reinvent the wheel or anything when it comes to spicier fragrances, but it took it in more of a modern man twist. It did it without being just a bunch of fresh greens and warm spicy greens to give kind of that spicy fougere appeal, which is more classic masculine. You have more modern masculine with your peppers, your pink peppers, your tobacco, giving that earthy tone. It's really special here. The sweetness isn't overdone, but there is a nice, smooth, light sweetness to kind of counterbalance the spice to where it's not too much. I just believe this to be a timeless scent profile that's just going to continue to age gracefully as time goes on. It's Viktor and Rolf Spicebomb. There's no denying that this is already timeless. It came out in 2010. It defined the current generation of men's fragrances. It is the most replicated fragrance on the market currently. We're talking about the infamous Creed Aventus. That's right. Everybody, pretty much everybody, has their version of Creed Aventus in their fragrance house, in one of their lines, whether it's a expensive niche brand, cheap knockoff fragrances, small clone houses, designer brands, mid-level and high. It doesn't matter. There are so many ways to take some version of this scent profile and smell it. Whether it's more bergamot and broxin and different synthetic woods, or you go the route of pineapple heavy. There's smoky versions. There's ones that are full of bitter black currant. There's just so many takes. There's muskier versions. There's sweeter versions. There's just so many versions of Creed Aventus. It's the most ripped off, replicated, inspired by, and cloned fragrance on the market for men. And look, it's a great fragrance. It really is. It's very attractive. Admittedly, the joke on it is more guys like the way this smells than women, and in some cases that is the instance. But I know for me personally, I really enjoy the way this one smells, and I do really enjoy a wide variety of fragrances that smell like this. This has pretty much defined this generation, more so than a Dior Sauvage and a Bleu de Chanel, because this was one of the first very expensive luxury fragrances to rise to just this new height of popularity that only designer fragrances had seen previously. So that's what makes it so iconic. This was a mark of success for many guys. I can tell you, coming from the car business, the whole thing was when you get into management, you get a Rolex, you get a bottle of Creed Aventus. That was kind of the mantra, and it's still going for a lot of guys because a lot of them aren't in the fragrance community and they don't know you can get it for cheaper from discounters and so on. But even from discounters, you're going to pay in the realm of $300 for a bottle of Creed Aventus. That's where enter in all the different variations from other brands that you can get cheaper. Some of the more popular ones being a direct clone from Armaf Club de Nuit Intense Man, a designer take, Mont Blanc Explorer, just to name two really quick that are extremely popular. Bond Number 9 has several. Scent of Peace, and my personal favorite, bondnumber9.com. There's just so many out there. Morning Chest from Wilhelm Parfumerie. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to sit here and just continue to rattle names off, but there's no denying the impact this fragrance has had. It will continue to age gracefully, in my opinion, even though it's a flooded market full of Creed Aventus style fragrances at this point, and they're still continuing to release. I think There's good reason for it because of its popularity, because everybody wants to get in on that action. Because, like I said, this stuff rose to prominence that no other niche fragrance had done previously. And honestly, I don't think even currently there's anything that comes close to the level of popularity that this achieved at one time. This had a pretty long stretch for several years of being known and dubbed as the king. Even though I don't think it's the king personally, I could see why people tout it for that. Definitely timeless, whether you love it, whether you hate it. It's Creed Aventus. This defined the early 2000s for sure. This was heavily ripped off at one time. It never gets old for me. These days, people are more concerned with performance than nostalgic smells and so on, and they want so-and-so's take because it's, even though it's a clone, it may perform better. But for me, the magic is always in the originals, and that's definitely the case with the original Polo Blue Eau de Toilette. This is a timeless scent profile. It is that special something from the early 2000s. I want to say this came out in 2002, maybe 2003, something along those lines. You couldn't walk through a mall or a chain restaurant in the early 2000s on up to like the 2010 to 15 range without smelling this somewhere. There was a scent cloud of Polo Blue somewhere, pretty much everywhere you went in public. It's kind of what Dior Sauvage is today, Bleu de Chanel, these more modern synthetic blue fragrances that I am personally a fan of. This was blue, not just because of the name and the color, long before the current generation of blues. This kind of set us down the path because it's so easygoing, fresh, inviting. Everybody likes it. It's hard to not like. It's got this watery cucumber, melon, citrus, green, fresh type of feel to it. Light woods, a little bit of green spice. It's a little clean musk. It's just hard not to like. It's a scent profile that is just easy to fall in love with. And like I said, this defined the early 2000s for sure. And I still think it smells great even to this day. Admittedly, there's better versions of it at this point. Polo Deep Blue Parfum is the more modern blue fragrance and Broxton take on this scent profile. But to me, of all the versions of Polo Blue and all the fragrances that smell like Polo Blue, my personal opinion is Polo Blue is still the best smelling one. You're only going to get a few hours at best out of this. Don't get me wrong. If you're one that's worried about performance, you're going to be disappointed here. But if you're looking for a scent experience that will take you to a moment in time in men's fragrances, Polo Blue is definitely good for that. And I think it's a timeless scent profile that is to be respected in men's fragrances. It's Polo Blue Eau de Toilette. The smell of shower gel in the 90s. And even today, this is such a heavily replicated fragrance that none seem to capture the magic of this original scent with Azzaro's Chrome. The original Chrome. It's still the best. It's still the best shower gel scent ever made, in my opinion. And there's a countless amount of shower gel smelling type of scents. And when I say shower gel, think all your different blue colored shower gels, your Axe Phoenix and so on. Dove for Men Clean Comfort, which is great, by the way. That's my favorite shower gel, and so on. This is sharp metallic citrus. It's a little powdery, a touch floral. There's a very clean, musky nature to this. Performance is still pretty well. It's not a monster in performance, but it's definitely not a weak fragrance. It does not leave anything to be desired, at least in my experience. This has come out with countless flankers that are great. My favorite version of Chrome is not the original Chrome. It is Chrome Extreme, and then a close second being Chrome Aqua. But it's hard to deny the impact this fragrance made. This was the smell of junior high and high school for me. This defined late 90s, early 2000s shower gel scents because shower gels became extremely popular during those days, and they captured the essence of kind of a higher quality take on that scent profile that was accessible to every teenage to young 20s man out in the United States. This stuff got extremely popular. It's still worn by a lot of people even to this day, more so over the flankers because it's so well known and it's tried and true. It just works. There's never a bad time to smell fresh and clean. You guys have heard me and countless others say that so many times because it's a fact. There's never a bad time to smell fresh, clean, soapy shower gel, fresh out the shower. This epitomizes that. All of those statements and the scent profile to a T. It absolutely nails it. So no matter what anyone thinks or says, it's my personal opinion. Of course, I think this is timeless. It continues to age well. I don't think it'll ever get old. Because, as the saying goes, there's never a bad time to smell fresh and clean. And this is the ultimate in fresh and clean, the Azzaro Chrome. Well, that's the 5 that I have for you today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. Do you have any of these 5? What are your thoughts on these 5 fragrances? Do you agree? Do you disagree? That's totally fine. I'd love to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of these 5 and you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later because in my opinion, they're timeless classics. Have a good one, guys.